Real estate is one of the simplest ways to build long-term wealth, and one of the easiest ways to get wrecked if you don't know what you're doing. So this show, it exists for one main reason: clarity. Me and Keith, we're talking deals, markets, financing, flips, all of it, but always through the lens of what's working, what isn't working, and why. I'm your host, Dayton Lindsey, and I promise you that this podcast is going to help you save time, money, and you from painful lessons. So, let's get into this. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the First Deal podcast. Keith, here we are again, as usual.
Ready?
The two of us. We can make it if we try. Anyways. So I'm going to start off today with some more questions for you. What was... I know, right? Who would have thought?
I'm just that weak guy.
What was the number one lesson you learned from a deal that went sideways?
Easy. It's the one that I'm dealing with right now as we speak.
Ooh, fresh. I like it.
Golly, it's the bane of my existence. It's the worst deal that I've ever done. It's the deal that I hate above all deals. Matter of fact, it's the only deal that I've hated. All my deals have gone really good. I've been very fortunate, but this one slipped through the cracks.
Okay, so what about it has been like diabolically evil in this regards that it's just become the worst deal ever that you're currently working through?
First, it started with a scam. Then it went to court. Then I had to force the sale. Then I had to buy it at auction. Then I had to deal with some dirty contractors. Then I had to deal with a incompetent realtor that I actually am firing tomorrow. I've already given her notice.
Wow.
So let's start at the very beginning. How did we end up here? This deal has been going on for more than 2 years, and I hate everything about this deal. It started with me scaling too fast.
Okay.
Really what it came down to was, at this time I had hired a acquisition manager. We were transitioning, actually. I had lost my best acquisition manager. His wife got super sick and he needed to take care of her. So I hired a new acquisition manager. He didn't just she didn't get sick and then she left. He got sick. He lowered his hours. He said, hey, I may need to transition out. So he gave me tons of notice. He did it, everything perfect. His name is Kevin. I love him to this day. So then I hired a new acquisition manager, and his name was Will. Will was gung-ho. He was ballsy. He was tenacious. You could not knock this guy down. And I really, really like that about him. What I didn't like about working with him was he was kind of known as the wild child. He would just fly by the seat of his pants, and I get that. I'm kind of a little bit that way.
Mm-hmm.
But rules did not pertain to him at all, and it was very hard to. Here's the box. Operate in the box. That's just not gonna fly with Will. And so he definitely towed the line in my patience quite often. But he was more of the say yes and figure it out later, which I am as well. Again, we're very much cut from the same cloth, he and I. And we got along, but he was even more extreme. I would consider myself fairly extreme in these areas, but
okay.
Maybe I've toned it back over the years or something, but
you've mellowed out since you've become a dad.
Yeah, maybe. He put this property under contract, and I remember him saying, man, the seller, there's just something off with the seller. Like, I can't really put my finger on it, but, and I was like, don't worry about it. You know, the title company will iron everything out. And if she's not the seller, then the title company will tell her. And so her husband had just passed away. The situation. This is a mobile home in a little town called Chauvin, right next to Houma, Louisiana, which is like an hour south of New Orleans.
Okay.
It's down in the bayou. It actually has an acre, maybe it's half acre of waterfront. Like, it's on the bayou. It has 2 docks.
Okay.
I mean, this thing would be perfect for a fisherman. That's actually
Yeah.
what I'm trying to sell it to. Anyway, so her husband had passed away, and whenever you're going through an inheritance sort of situation like this, the person who is on the receiving end of that person, they call it the decedent, of the decedent's interest in the house, they sign what's called an affidavit of heirship. Like, I am an heir of this person, and I swear, that's what an affidavit is. I swear there's no other people that this belongs to. So she literally swore that she had no children and that he had no children, and she signed on the dotted line on a legal document that said, I am the only heir of this man, Billy.
Mm-hmm.
We closed. Smoking deal, by the way. I think I bought it for like $18,000, and she was occupying it at the time, so I only gave her half. And I said, at the time that when you move, I'll give you the other half. But as of right now, I'm only going to give you $9,000. You have 30 days, I think is what I gave her, to vacate the property. Once I've confirmed that you're out of the property and I change the locks, then I'll give you the other $9,000. And so the burden was on her to provide proof of vacancy. And oddly enough, as soon as she moved out, the very next day, her son broke in to the house.
Okay.
And started squatting.
Wonderful.
And I said, hold up, you have a son. You signed an affidavit of heirship stating I didn't have any children. Oh, it's my stepson. Yeah, that means that he had a child, and you swore also that he didn't have any children. Well, we're kind of in a family feud. Well, I don't care if you disowned them. That's none of my freaking business. But you swore legally that you were the only rightful heir. So anyway, I got a lawsuit 3 days after we closed. My attorney reaches out to me and says, hey, one of the children of your seller that we just closed the transaction for you has just provided me with some paperwork. He refused to give me an ID, but he says that he is one of the children that got screwed out of their inheritance and that you've committed fraud, and he's going to be coming after you for fraud and for damages and all this stuff. I hire a private investigator. We find not just the one child, not 2, not even 3, but 6 children.
Oh my God, this is entering like stereotypical hillbilly territory that you see in the media all the time.
Yeah, dude. That's exactly what it is. And it literally, I won't even say their last names because people know who this is, but this is 2 families that have been warring for over 100 years in the state of Louisiana. My God, if I could just Google search this, I would, no, I'm out. It's freaking, So we rushed into this deal. She needed to close fast. It was seemingly a really good deal. You know, an acre on the bayou, $18,000. If the structure is vertical, well, we're in good. The land alone should be worth that much, right? So the fact that she was living in it, and other people now wanted to live in it, told me that it was in good enough condition that I'm not going to lose it. But what I didn't anticipate was the massive legal fees that I was going to incur over the next 2.5 years. Not only did I have to evict the gentleman who was in there, then I had to countersue not just the gentleman that walked into my attorney's office, but I actually had to sue all of his siblings for what's called a partition deed, which means
Okay.
we're gonna part the deed. I'm gonna have part of the deed. You're gonna have part of the deed. And so I own 50%, and each of the children owned 1/6 of 50%, so 1/12 of the deal. I own 50. I own half. They own 1/12 each. So now that we got that cleared up, they all still want their money. Well, here's the thing. Some of them wanted the property. Some of them wanted the money. When there's 6 people, you can't please them all, especially when they want literally opposing things.
Yeah.
And so what I did is I forced the sale of the house through sheriff's sale, which is a process that you have to go through. In the state of Louisiana, they're under what's called Napoleonic law. The rest of the United States, we have like normal American law. Well, Napoleonic law is a little bit different than the rest of the 49 states that operate normally. And I was new to this. This is actually only my second deal in Louisiana. And so we go through the sheriff's sale and push it successfully to auction. I fly up to New Orleans, rent a van, drive down to Chauvin, sleep in my car, and show up first thing in the morning to go to the courthouse steps and bid on this house. Well, I've never been to the courthouse steps, believe it or not. But that's not how I buy my houses. I go direct to seller. I don't buy at auctions. I went actually the day previous to this. I said, how many people usually show up? They're like, it's just a couple. You won't have more than 3 or 4. I showed up and there's like 45 dudes there. And I got really nervous. And I started asking people like, how many people, do you usually come here? No, I don't usually come here. Do you usually come here? No, I don't really come here very often. Do you usually Everybody seemed to be like pretty brand new. So then I went around to the same people that I just asked, why are you here? Well, because they're auctioning off a lot of properties today. There's like 80 properties going down today. And usually, apparently, it's like less than 10. And so I was like, which one are you interested in? And then the answer that I went, well, wouldn't you like to know?
Yeah.
Well, mine was actually up first.
Oh, that's nice.
So I went up to the lady and I said, hey, I had already talked to her the day before. And I had actually placed a lien on the house myself. So I was securing that if somebody bought the house, well, I own 50%. And I liened my own house with my lender. Therefore, if they bought the property, they're going to have this lien. And they're going to have to wipe it out if they need to get conventional financing, or when they sell, then we're going to get wiped out. Right. I'm going to get my money back, and my lender is going to get paid back as well. And so I liened the house and processed that paperwork, went fine. And then I said, I know that you're not allowed to like sway people as the auctioneer, but can you make mention like, hey, I don't really know if there's a lien on this house. If there are any liens, you're buying it subject to the existing liens that may or may not exceed the value of the home. Nobody wants a house that's underwater.
Yeah,
You're going to have to, the lien doesn't get wiped out at a sheriff's sale. Lien stays in place. And so she did. She hooked me up. I did not expect her to be able to do this or say that, right? But she primed people. And I was literally the only person. And I waited too. I was in the back. And so she did her whole little thing. I was in the back waiting to see if any of these freaking jerk nuggets were going to raise their hand and bid. There was nothing. I was looking around. And then I see the lady. She looks at me and she raises her hand. I go, yeah, I'll bid. And so I bid. I only had to bid one time, which was the spot price, which was like what the county needed, what the sheriff needed, what the everything, to get paid. So I bought the house. That was actually at the beginning of last year. So this is already, it took me a year and a half just to get there. Like $22,000 of legal fees just to get there.
Yeah.
And then since then, I've racked up another 8 somehow. So now I own 100% of the house. I already own 50%, and then they were auctioning off the other 50%. Now I own 100% of the house. I got the house. I got all the paperwork. Now I own it. Cool. Let's start some renovations. So I hire some contractors, some good old boy contractors. I don't mean to offend anybody who's listening that's from Louisiana, but y'all know that you talk different down there. These guys, they come with him and Ohio, they don't really understand anything you're saying. You know what I'm saying? You can't really understand what they're saying. Like, I had to, can you say that one more time for me? Anyway, good old boy, seemingly.
Yeah.
Dude absolutely tried to dupe me. And he did. And I have a project manager on the team. He was sending photos. One of two things was occurring. He was either moving things from one room to another, like junk, like he was moving junk out of one room to another to make it appear like it was clean, or he was using AI. He would take a picture and then say, like, get rid of all the junk so it looks like a clean room. But the picture that and I've physically been to the house, so you can't dupe me. I know exactly what it looks like. I have hundreds of photos of this house at this point. And I would get this photo back, and I paid him because he's providing every day. He's providing proof that he's doing what's on the scope of work. Anyway, so 4 months goes by, and we're still not done.
Quick aside, if you're getting value out of this, make sure to hit the like, subscribe, and drop a comment down below with what you want Keith and me to cover next. It helps the channel out a lot, and it tells us what you want to learn about. Anyways, back to the video.
We've done everything right, seemingly. All the pictures are there, but we're still not, why are we not done? So I send out an inspector to the house. It looks the same as when we started.
Oh, no!
And that's when I found out that all those pictures had to have been
AI
taken in some way. So, needless to say, I sent a cease and desist. You're not going to work on my house anymore. Matter of fact, if you come on my house, I'm going to get a restraining order. Get off the property. I'm going to hire another person. So I burnt four months, and I don't exactly know how many, about 6 or 7, maybe $8,000 on this, and had to restart the reconstruction over. So I fixed it, and then I listed it, and it has sat and sat and sat and sat and sat, and my realtor, she doesn't really like me. When I told her that the 4th would be her last day and that I would like to cancel my listing agreement with her, she said, yeah, I felt like we weren't really a good fit for each other. You're telling me that now? Like, why couldn't you have told me that from the very beginning, that you didn't like me, or that you didn't like the house, or that you didn't think that you'd be able to sell it? Anyway. So we moved too quickly on the purchase. I had a little bit too much trust with my acquisition manager. I did have title insurance, fortunately. So I had to cure my own title.
Okay.
And I went back to the title insurance and said, hey, I've had to make my own measures to cure the title. It's cost me like $22,000. I'd like to get reimbursed. And they're like, no, you should have come to us to get that done. And we would have done it. And I'm like, dude, if you would have done it, it would have cost you like $40,000. No, we'll only give you a partial refund. So I think I got a $10,000 check out of the title insurance. It's been my only saving grace with this house. Everything else, from the very beginning of that lady scamming me and only selling me half a house, the squatters that broke in, to having to fly up there and bid, the massive amount of legal fees, the contractor that duped me, and the real estate agent that is completely unwilling to do anything other than list it on the MLS. I have just had roadblock after roadblock after roadblock. And ironically, here's what would have solved this. Don't buy in rural podunk middle of nowhere, number 1. Number 2, Google really quickly, Google the seller and see if any crazy things come up. The family feud would have arisen. We did everything else right though when it came to like getting title insurance and nothing. If she lied, she lied, and that's what title insurance is for. Same thing. I don't think that we could have done any better when it came to handling the contractor with the daily reports and the images. He pulled one over on me, and now I'm on the lookout for like, oh, is this an AI generated or altered image in any way? That's an interesting thing that we're gonna have to overcome in the future. And then
Yeah.
I think I did good with picking the realtor as well. She was well qualified.
Yeah, that's kind of an interesting point. Like nowadays, AI is pretty much all the rage. You hear all these companies, Google, Elon, what else?
Anthropic.
Google, Elon. Yep, Anthropic. That's a major player as well. And just the AI boom that's happening right now, we're still learning ways that how AI is going to impact certain industries, and that's an incredible example of something you just wouldn't think about when it comes to the real estate investing niche.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
we always think about like, oh, that'll be easy to track the data input outputs with ML, some other metrics as well. But that is definitely one thing that I know I didn't even think about when it comes to real estate investing. So that's a good point to let people know about.
Yeah. I think moving forward, we're going to have a third party home, not necessarily a home inspector, but we've actually partnered with a company called Investor Boots, where they'll send somebody out to inspect the property and they'll take photos of the house. It's a little bit inconvenient. It's a cog in the wheel. It's a day delay. It's $100 out of your renovation budget. But I'd much rather have $100 out of my renovation budget every week, $400 per month. How long is the renovation going to go? 2 months, right? 3 months. Like most of my stuff isn't big, so it's an extra $1,200, $1,000, whatever. I'd rather spend $1,000 than get duped. $7,500.
Yeah. So coming off the tail end of that, one of my other questions was, what's your contractor hiring process? Because we've just heard about like the scummiest contractor that ended up duping you in the end. So I want you to explain your process when it comes to finding contractors. Obviously, you can't get them right all 100% of the time because, as you've just heard, it is possible that even with years of experience, you're still going to get a bad contractor. So, what is your hiring process and what does that look like in terms of qualifications?
Well, I'll start off by saying that you want to, when it comes to inside your business, you want to hire fast and fire fast. But when it comes to hiring outside of your business, like hiring third-party people to do this, I think that you should hire slow and fire fast. So we pre-screen all of our contractors prior to bringing them on. We have a pretty good process for this. I'll kind of share it at a 1,000-foot view, but we're trying to find 5 contractors for every single house. We're going to Google and we're going to find some contractors that have availability to go out to the property. We send them a contractor application. That contractor application kind of goes over, it's a basic, I think it's just like 2 pages. It goes over basic things that contractor needs to submit, like what's my contractor license number? Like, are you licensed? Are you insured? What's your experience? Previous projects, current projects, like what are the addresses? What was the scopes of work? Do you give written warranties? Do you separate your material and labor in your bids? Do you use subcontractors? And then we ask them to provide a list of references, which I absolutely do contact their list of references. So they have to fill out that application before even working with us.
Okay.
Then I'm going to verify that the contractor has a license. I'm going to verify that insurance is actually good right now. And then I'm going to call that, by the way, all of this is done by our project manager, and only the people who pass now make it to me.
Okay.
So usually I'm getting 2 to 3 people, and I'm going to interview that contractor. And the interview process is really low key, right? They don't need to get dressed up in a suit and tie and give me their freaking, what's that thing?
Resume?
Resume. I don't care about that. I want you to understand that I'm buying this house to make money, and that means that we can't go over budget and we can't go over time. And then I explain the scope of work. Ask him if he has any questions. As long as he passes that, if you will, now we're good to move forward with the paperwork side of things. And so whenever I hire contractors, we call it the 6 critical documents. And I'm here to tell you, if you are having verbal agreements with contractors and it's just a handshake, or even if it's an email, I don't even care about an email. Like, these 6 critical documents will save you. They have been through thousands of renovations nationwide. But I'm gonna, sorry, before we get into the paperwork, I discussed the payment schedule. And we kind of break that down into, like, how many draws is this gonna be? I make sure that he's good with that. I make sure that he's good with the money first. Then we get into paperwork. There's 6 critical documents. The paperwork that we go through is non-negotiable. Every single, I don't care if they're changing a light bulb. Every contractor signs this. They're going to sign a W-9 because they're a 1099 independent contractor, not a W-2.
Okay.
They're going to sign an independent contractor service agreement saying that they're not going to violate any OSHA safety and get me sued. Then they're going to sign the scope of work. So I'm going to, in painful detail, describe everything that is being done to the house. And then we're separating it into draws. So when this, again, painful detail, this is the most important document. You're going to explain everything that needs to be done. This is draw 1. This is the date that it needs to be accomplished. And this is what you're going to get paid. He doesn't get paid unless all of these things have been done. Not even a partial payment. Now, when you finish these things on the date that you agreed on, then you get paid. There's even when you get docked for something, there's penalties. If he doesn't finish these things by this date, I think we have like $125 per day penalty that he goes over. It's basically whatever my holding cost is times 2. Whatever the holding cost of that house is times 2, that's how much I'm going to charge the contractor. Because not only do I have to pay him, but if he stops, now I have to go pay another person to come in and fix his work. So all of that's in the scope of work. Then we have the indemnification and insurance agreement. This states that he's going to have insurance. This states that he's going to pay us back if anything wrong, goes wrong. We have the payment schedule that outlines how much he's going to get paid and when. And then the 6th document is the contractor lien waiver. We keep that one until the very end. So we pay him for, let's say there's 4 draws. We pay him 3 draws over the course of 6 weeks. And then before I release that last payment, I say, hey, this is the last payment. You're fully paid up. Is that correct? Yes. Then before I give this to you, I need you to sign this piece of paper that says that you're paid up and that you're not going to place a lien on my house. Once he signs that, now I give him his last paycheck. And I always make that paycheck a little bit bigger than his other ones. So it'll be like, let's say it's a really small rehab.
Yeah.
It'll be like $4,000, $4,000, $5,000, $6,000. And I'm holding that $6,000 paycheck. Never the opposite.
Okay, how come?
Because they're incentivized to hurry up and sign the document because they want to get paid the majority of their money.
Okay, that makes sense.
That's it. That's the only reason.
That's the only reason? Okay. Well, that's a good reason. Very eloquent.
Well, we've never had a lien. We've always paid our contractors, and we've never had them place a lien on the house.
Nice.
Not that this matters, but then also you have to care about the money. So how are you going to get paid? Some contractors, they want Zelle, Cash App, PayPal, whatever that, Venmo, or a wire transfer. So like making sure that you're processing their payment however they want. And if you're doing a wire transfer, you have to like have all the information to send a wire transfer request. I guess that would be part of the paperwork, but it's not included in the 6 critical.
Oh, okay. Well, Keith, let's bring this one home. We've been chatting for about 30, 31 minutes here. So
Yeah.
we are going to bring this home. Thank you, everyone, for watching, and we can't wait to see you on the next one. Real estate isn't magic, it's a skill. And the people who win long term are the ones that keep stacking the reps. That means learning, analyzing, staying patient, and making good decisions. If you want to keep building that skill with us, make sure to subscribe and send this to someone who needs to hear it, because I know you know someone that needs to. Anyways, that's all for today. Take care.